Matthew the Apostle was, according to the Bible, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus and, according to Christian tradition, one of the 4 evangelists. In the Bible, among the early followers and apostles of Jesus, Matthew is mentioned in Matthew chapter 9 verse 9 and Matthew chapter 10 verse 3 as a publican who, while sitting at the receipt of custom in Capernaum, was called to follow Jesus. Matthew may have collected taxes from the Hebrew people for Herod Antipas. Matthew is also listed among the 12, but without identification of his background, in Mark chapter 3 verse 18, Luke chapter 6 verse 15 and Acts chapter 1 verse 13. In passages parallel to Matthew chapter 9 verse 9, both Mark chapter 2 verse 14 and Luke chapter 5 verse 27 describe Jesus' calling of the tax collector Levi, the son of Alphaeus, but Mark and Luke never explicitly equate this Levi with the Matthew named as one of the 12. Early life. Matthew was a 1st-century Galilean, the son of Alphaeus. As a tax collector he would have been literate in Aramaic and Greek. After his call, Matthew invited Jesus home for a feast. On seeing this, the scribes and the Pharisees criticized Jesus for eating with tax collectors and sinners. This prompted Jesus to answer, "I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." Quote, ministry. The New Testament records that as a disciple, he followed Jesus, and was one of the witnesses of the resurrection and the ascension of Jesus. Afterwards, the disciples withdrew to an upper room in Jerusalem. The disciples remained in and about Jerusalem and proclaimed that Jesus was the promised Messiah. In the Babylonian Talmud, Mattai is one of 5 disciples of Jesu. Later church fathers such as Irenaeus and Clement of Alexandria claimed that Matthew preached the gospel to the Jewish community in Judea, before going to other countries. Ancient writers are not agreed as to what these other countries are. The Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church each hold the tradition that Matthew died as a martyr, although this was rejected by the Gnostic heretic Heracleon as early as the 2nd century. Matthew's Gospel. The Gospel of Matthew is anonymous. The author is not named within the text, and the superscription, according to Matthew, was added sometime in the 2nd century. The tradition that the author was the disciple Matthew begins with the early Christian bishop Papias of Hierapolis, who is cited by the church historian Eusebius as follows: Matthew collected the oracles in the Hebrew language, and each one interpreted them as best he could. On the surface, this has been taken to imply that Matthew's Gospel itself was written in Hebrew or Aramaic by the Apostle Matthew and later translated into Greek. But nowhere does the author claim to have been an eyewitness to events, and Matthew's Greek reveals none of the telltale marks of a translation. Scholars have put forward several theories to explain Papias. Perhaps Matthew wrote 2 Gospels, one now lost in Hebrew, the other our Greek version, or perhaps the Logia was a collection of sayings rather than the Gospel, or by dialect Papias may have meant that Matthew wrote in the Jewish style rather than in the Hebrew language. The consensus is that Papias does not describe the Gospel of Matthew as we know it, and it is generally accepted that Matthew was written in Greek, not in Aramaic or Hebrew. Non-canonical or apocryphal Gospels. In the 3rd century, Jewish Christian Gospels attributed to Matthew were used by Jewish Christian groups such as the Nazarenes and Ebionites. Fragments of these Gospels survive in quotations by Jerome, Epiphanius and others. Most academic study follows the distinction of Gospel of the Nazarenes, Gospel of the Ebionites, and Gospel of the Hebrews found in Shneimel Welch's New Testament Apocrypha. Critical commentators generally regard these texts as having been composed in Greek and related to Greek Matthew. A minority of commentators consider them to be fragments of a lost Aramaic or Hebrew language original. The Infancy Gospel of Matthew is a 7th-century compilation of 3 other texts: the Protevangelium of James, the Flight into Egypt, and the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. Origen said the first Gospel was written by Matthew. This Gospel was composed in Hebrew near Jerusalem for Hebrew Christians and translated into Greek, but the Greek copy was lost. The Hebrew original was kept at the Library of Caesarea. The Nazarene community transcribed a copy for Jerome which he used in his work. Matthew's Gospel was called the Gospel according to the Hebrews, or sometimes the Gospel of the Apostles, and it was once believed that it was the original to the Greek Matthew found in the Bible. However, this has been challenged by modern biblical scholars such as Bart Ehrman and James R. Edwards. Jerome relates that Matthew was supposed by the Nazarenes to have composed the Gospel of the Hebrews, though Arnius and Epiphanius of Salamis consider this simply a revised version. Canonical Gospel. This Gospel has been partially preserved in the writings of the Church Fathers, said to have been written by Matthew. Epiphanius does not make his own the claim about a Gospel of the Hebrews written by Matthew, a claim that he merely attributes to the heretical Ebionites. Commemoration. Matthew was recognized as a saint in the Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Lutheran and Anglican churches. His feast day is celebrated on the 21st of September in the West and the 16th of November in the East. He is also commemorated by the Orthodox, together with the other apostles, on the 30th of June, the Synaxis of the Holy Apostles. His tomb is located in the crypt of Salerno Cathedral in southern Italy. Like the other evangelists, Matthew is often depicted in Christian art with one of the 4 living creatures of Revelation chapter 4 verse 7. The one that accompanies him is in the form of a winged man. The 3 paintings of Matthew by Caravaggio in the Church of San Luigi dei Francesi in Rome, where he is depicted as called by Christ from his profession as gatherer, are among the landmarks of Western art. In Islam, the Quran speaks of Jesus' disciples but does not mention their names, instead referring to them as helpers to the work of God. Muslim exegesis and Quran commentary, however, name them and include Matthew amongst the disciples. Muslim exegesis preserves the tradition that Matthew, with Andrew, were the 2 disciples who went to Ethiopia to preach the message of God. Gallery. Bibliography. Commentaries. Allison, D.C. Matthew, a shorter commentary. T. and Amp. T. Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-08249-7. Davies, W. D. Allison, D.C. Matthew chapters 1-7. T. and Amp. T. Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-08355-5. Davies, W. D. Allison, D.C. Matthew chapters 8-18. T. and Amp. T. Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-08365-4. Davies, W. D. Allison, D.C. Matthew chapters 19-28. T. and Amp. T. Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-08375-3. Dooling, Dennis C. The Gospel of Matthew. In Orner, David E. The Blackwell Companion to the New Testament. Wiley Blackwell. ISBN 978-1-4051-08256. France, R.T. The Gospel of Matthew. Edmonds. p. 19. ISBN 978-0802825018. Harrington, Daniel J. The Gospel of Matthew. Liturgical Press. ISBN 9780814658031. Keener, Craig S. A Commentary on the Gospel of Matthew. Edmonds. ISBN 9780802838216. Luz, Ulrich. Matthew chapters 1-7. A Commentary. Fortress Press. ISBN 9780800696009. Luz, Ulrich. Matthew chapters 8-20. A Commentary. Fortress Press. ISBN 9780800660345. Luz, Ulrich. Matthew chapters 21-28. A Commentary. Fortress Press. ISBN 9780800637705. Morris, Leon. The Gospel According to Matthew. Edmonds. ISBN 9780851113388. Noland, John. The Gospel of Matthew, A Commentary on the Greek Text. Edmonds. ISBN 0802823890. Turner, David L. Matthew, Baker. ISBN 9780801026843. General Works Orner, David E. The Gospel of Matthew in Current Study. Edmonds. ISBN 9780802846730. Orner, David E. The New Testament in its Literary Environment. Westminster John Knox Press. ISBN 9780664250188. Beaton, Richard C. How Matthew Writes. In Bockmuel, Marcus, Hagner, Donald A. The Written Gospel. Oxford University Press. ISBN 9780521832854. Browning, W.R.F. Oxford Dictionary of the Bible. Oxford University Press. ISBN 9780198608905. Burkitt, Delbert. An Introduction to the New Testament and the Origins of Christianity. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 9780521007207. Casey, Morris. Jesus of Nazareth, An Independent Historian's Account of His Life and Teaching. Continuum. ISBN 9780567645173. Clark, Howard W. The Gospel of Matthew and Its Readers. Indiana University Press. ISBN 9780253342355. Cross, Frank L. Livingston, Elizabeth A. eds. Matthew, Gospel According to St. The Oxford Dictionary of the Christian Church. Oxford University Press. p. 1064. ISBN 9780192802903. Dunn, James D. G. Jesus Remembered. Edmonds. ISBN 9780802839312. Ehrman, Bart D. Jesus, Apocalyptic Prophet of the New Millennium. Oxford University Press. ISBN 9780195124743. Ehrman, Bart D. Did Jesus Exist? The Historical Argument for Jesus of Nazareth. HarperCollins. ISBN 9780062204608. Fuller, Reginald H. Biblical Theology. In Metzger, Bruce M. Coogan, Michael D. The Oxford Guide to Ideas and Amp. Issues of the Bible. Oxford University Press. Hagner, D.A. Matthew, Gospel According to. In Bromiley, Jeffrey W. International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, Volume 3, K.P. W.M. B. Edmonds, pp. 280-8. ISBN 9780802881632. Harris, Stephen L. Understanding the Bible, Palo Alto, Mayfield, Kowalczyk A. The Influence of Typology and Texts of the Old Testament on the Redaction of Matthew's Gospel, Bernardinum, ISBN 97883-7380-6252. Karp, David D. Matthew's A Manual, Divine Presence and God's People in the First Gospel, Cambridge University Press, ISBN 978-0521-57007-7. Levine, Amy Jill. Visions of Kingdoms, From Pompey to the First Jewish Revolt. In Coogan, Michael D. The Oxford History of the Biblical World. Oxford University Press. ISBN 978-019-513937-2. Leveson, J. Pope Leveson, P. Christology. Indianus, William A. Karkinen Veliamati. Global Dictionary of Theology. InterVarsity Press. Luz, Ulrich. Studies in Matthew. Edmonds. ISBN 978-0828-3964-0. Luz, Ulrich. The Theology of the Gospel of Matthew. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 978-0521-43576-5. McMahon, Christopher. Introduction to the Gospels and Acts of the Apostles. In Rough Jerry. Understanding the Bible, A Guide to Reading the Scriptures. Cambridge University Press. Morris, Leon. New Testament Theology. Zondervan. ISBN 978-0310-45571-4. Peppard, Michael. The Son of God in the Roman World, Divine Sonship in its Social and Political Context. Oxford University Press. Perkins, Feem. The Synoptic Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles, Telling the Christian Story. The Cambridge Companion to Biblical Interpretation. ISBN 0521485932. Inky, Howard Clark ed. The Cambridge Companion to the Bible, Part 3. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 978-0521-48593-7. Saldarini, Anthony. Matthew. Edmonds Commentary on the Bible. ISBN 0802837115. In Dunn, James D. G. Rogerson, John William. Edmonds Commentary on the Bible. Edmonds. ISBN 978-0802837110. Saldarini, Anthony. Matthew's Christian Jewish Community. University of Chicago Press. ISBN 978-0226-73421-7. Sanford, Christopher B. Matthew, Christian Rabbi. Author House. Scholz, Donald. Jesus in the Gospels and Acts. Introducing the New Testament. St. Mary's Press. Senior, Donald. Directions in Matthean Studies. The Gospel of Matthew in Current Study. Studies in Memory of William G. Thompson, S.J. ISBN 0802846734. In Orner, David E. The Gospel of Matthew in Current Study. Edmonds. ISBN 978-08028-4673-0. Senior, Donald. What Are They Saying About Matthew? Parlist Press. ISBN 978-08091-36247. Stanton, Graham. A Gospel for a New People. Studies in Matthew. Westminster John Knox Press. ISBN 978-0664-25499-5. Strecker, Georg. Theology of the New Testament. Walter de Gruyter. ISBN 978-0664-22336-6. Tuckett, Christopher Mark. Christology and the New Testament. Jesus and His Earliest Followers. Westminster John Knox Press. Van der Sant, H.W.M. Introduction. Matthew and the Dash. 2 documents from the same Jewish Christian milieu. ISBN 9023240774. In van der Sand, H.W.M. ed. Matthew and the Dash. Royal Van Gorkum Amp. Fortress Press. ISBN 97890-232-40778. Wern, W.I.M. The History and Social Setting of the Matthean Community. Matthew and the Dash. 2 documents from the same Jewish Christian milieu. ISBN 9023240774. In van der Sand, H.W.M. ed. Matthew and the Dash. Royal Van Gorkum Amp. Fortress Press. ISBN 97890-232-40778.